Bring it down, speak louder. Ha, that was my name. Yeah. Eagerly leaving the scene to go and chase his dream. On a mission wishing ever since he was only 15. With sincerity, I'll never give in to the popularity. The clarity's a rarity. When you're compared to me, now where were we? Where were we? And I don't mean to be cocky, but I'm never doing this sloppy. And all that hating, it's not me. So I'm original, no copy. Can't copy my swag. I'm spitting liquid, twisting like my name was Mickey Fast. And I'm the 11th freshman on the cover, double XL.
All right. Joining me tonight is Caleb Eagans, a wide receiver of many different schools. He originally joined Texas A&M to run track, not originally to play football, yet he found himself on a football field anyway. After great personal tragedy, Caleb focused on school and kept a promise to his mother to graduate, and he ultimately graduated 3 separate times. Caleb, once again, thank you for joining me. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So obviously I gave you a brief introduction. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit more in-depth rundown, and then we'll get into detail as we go.
Yes, sir. So my name is Caleb Eagans. I'm a wide receiver, kick returner coming to 2022 NFL draft. I got an interesting story. I'm just thankful to be here, and I just thank God.
Absolutely. He puts you in the position. You got to take advantage of the positions he puts you in, right?
Exactly. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. So, Caleb, if you've watched any of my interviews, you know this first question's coming. At what age did you find organized football, and what inspired you to play the game?
I was probably around 6, 7 years old. Just really like the game. My whole family, big football fans, really Cowboys fans. And so, grew up, Emmitt Smith was my favorite player. And so, played a little Pee Wee football. But once, it got to organized football, so junior high, that's when it was kind of, serious for me. So, played, many different positions and, had a great career, junior high school, and then on in college.
Absolutely. So you actually said you played 6 positions in high school. What all positions did you play?
I did. So interesting enough, we ran the wing T. So I played wing back. I was receiver. They put me in the backfield. I played safety, cornerback, and then obviously, kick return, punt return. So really and truly just based on who we were playing and the, schematics of the game, they just put me where, I excel best at. So
That's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you got the skills to do it. Why not, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, as you know, I don't have to tell you, Texas has always been known to produce legit football players. I mean, do you feel that the love for football is more intense when you live in a smaller town like Jewett?
Absolutely. I would say yes. Only reason because, Friday night, that's what everybody's talking about. That's what, everybody's going to the game. A lot of different, places are, shutting down and, everybody's coming to the game. And it being in East Texas too, Friday Night Lights, that's a real thing, especially in East Texas. So, football's big. So I would definitely have to agree with you on that.
Absolutely. So as I kind of alluded to, you were all over the place when it came to high school in a good way. I mean, you played 6 different positions on a football field. You ran track. You competed in baseball and basketball. Of these sports, if it hadn't been for football, which sport would you have preferred to participate in?
Honestly, coming out of high school, I really thought, I'd be going somewhere to play basketball. That was my, I would say, I wouldn't say primary, but that's where everybody thought I was gonna do. In high school, there were some games I was scoring 30 points. And play good competition too. I would go to camps, like an A&M basketball camp, go to these big camps, and come back with trophies. They moved me up, age groups, based off of my skill set. I did a little AAU basketball. I was getting invited to showcases. They had me ranked in Texas, top 100. And so it's just like, okay, I was thinking basketball, but then that's when, the football and the track layers came. And I did get some basketball offers, but they were to, smaller programs. And so ultimately I went the, track route.
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense. I mean, especially when you said you were getting more prominent offers from Division One schools and whatnot with for track and football.
Exactly.
Um, so talk to me about your unique recruitment process. I mean, you kind of alluded to it just a minute ago. You played 4 sports. You were getting interest as a power lifter as well. I could see a scenario where it kind of is each different school is kind of selling you on a different sport. How did you ultimately decide Texas A&M and track was the place to be?
Um, it really was a tough decision. My mom was here with me when she was living. She made it that much easier for me because College Station was right down the road. She wanted me close to home, and it's a really good academic school. And so, that was the main thing. Obviously, I was going to go play a sport, but she wanted to make sure, that degree was the main thing. And the Aggie network is it's a real thing. The Aggie ring is a real thing, and Texas A&M it's a really prominent school. One of the best, in the world. So, I ultimately went there, and Texas A&M is, it's a track school. It's a they're always number one, in the nation, number two in the nation, winning, championships, and so. Based off of that and off of my visit, I end up, choosing Texas A&M.
Absolutely. How big of a factor was Kevin Sumlin in deciding to go to Texas A&M?
Man, it was huge. Let me tell you, matter of fact, because as soon as I, transitioned over to football, we connected. He's definitely a player's coach. Really cool guy. Matter of fact, on my track visit to Texas A&M, the game that I was there, it was Texas A&M versus Auburn, and it was Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans last year together, and they went off, and so just the whole atmosphere. I think that game was probably like 106,000, something like that. So it was crazy, and it was just a cool experience, man. Just looking back at it. So once I left and went back to Jewett, because Jewett is like not even, it's a small town, not even 2,000 people. So I went back to Jewett. I couldn't stop thinking about, the game and everything. And so I was just like, man, like that's the place I want to go. So, but yeah, most definitely, Coach Sumlin, was a great coach. It was a great experience, man. It sure was.
Absolutely. I can imagine. I mean, the kind of pedigree and prestige they had at the time, I can only imagine that was kind of a dream come true. Like you said, it was down the street from your house, uh, kind of a hometown school. That's a cool
Exactly.
story.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so, as you just mentioned, you originally committed to Texas A&M to run track, but you ended up playing football. So was it something where you approached the coaches to play, or did they approach you?
Man, it was kind of it's kind of 50-50. They found out that I was there because with track commitment in football, track you got to kind of commit a little earlier. So I was already committed, to go run track, and so once I got down there, they realized I was down there, and there were some guys on the team too who I knew that was like, man, you need to come play football. You need to come play football. And so it was just a meeting, that I had with the director of operations at the time of football and the coaches and man, and so I was thankful, to get that opportunity and even to be able to do, track and football because I know now I think they have like 2 guys who does both, but when I was playing, it was really frowned upon, what I'm saying, to be a track athlete, and play football, so it was kind of, you know, again, I was just thankful to have the opportunity and get the track experience and football experience from Texas A&M.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. I've heard a couple different athletes say that it was kind of frowned upon to play 2 different sports like that, as far as running track and still playing football. Um, Kind of seems odd to me. It seems like track would run hand in hand with football as far as training wise.
And for the most part, as far as the conditioning, the stamina standpoint, it does. I would advise any young athlete out there who wants to play, baseball, play football, basketball, whatever, definitely run track in high school. And if you have a chance to, do it in college, that'd be cool too. But track, I feel like is a foundation for, all sports. And so, anytime, I mean, every sport you can think of, you're running. You're using
Yep.
your feet, using your legs, your core. And so it definitely helped me. The biggest difference is the weight. Track, you got to be really, especially for a sprinter jumper. You want to be strong, but you want to be more lean. and lower body, fat percentage. And football, I mean, you can almost eat almost whatever you want to eat, almost. You know what I'm saying? And they want to put that weight on you, they put that mass on you. But other than that, man, it does go hand in hand.
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, I don't know if you happen to catch it, but I had an interview with Trey Ford, and he said the same thing. He struggled to play football and run track because he was trying to put weight on for football, but couldn't really compete at 200 pounds anymore.
Exactly, and that was the hardest thing for me. Is when I got back to football on the track. I remember, matter of fact, there was a lot of guys on the track team, and all these guys too. I was running with, were Olympians and coming from other countries. But I remember the first day I got back. When we came back from the Liberty Bowl, we was at track practice. I took my shirt off, and man, everybody was laughing because I was out there all swole, looking all big. And but yeah, man, I think I gained like 25 pounds from August to January.
So, what did you enter college at weight wise?
Man, when I got to college, I was 153 pounds. I was
Okay.
100. I was 153 pounds. Whenever we got back from the Liberty Bowl, I hopped off the plane. I was in track practice the next week, and I was like 180 pounds.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. Big difference.
no doubt. That's a quick turnaround. It's almost kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So during your season at East Central, you had scouts from many, if not all, the teams attending workouts or games that season. Tell me how this affected your confidence in the time, and is this the first time you really considered the notion of truly getting the shot to play at the NFL level?
Yes, I would definitely say that. It was also my first time to, I did all the, NFL, testing type stuff as far as like the Wonderlic test and, them taking my official measurements and things like that. I talked to a couple teams and, they would come and, and they would say, uh, we like what you look like. They liked how I practice. They had kind of looked over my, my past, where I came from and just kind of my story up until when I was there, and it was all positive feedback. And then for me, that's when I was like, it really hit me, like, man, like, this is real. Like, I always believed in myself, but to actually have an NFL scout believe in me too, and kind of have the same mindset I was having, that definitely gave me more confidence.
Absolutely. So were there any teams that stuck out from back then that had looked your way?
Yes, I would say the Giants. They've been keeping up with me. The Giants, the Packers, the Colts. I was about to say, yeah, pretty much every team, kind of, came out to see me or reached out to me. But there's been specific teams that's kind of more so followed me the whole time, if that makes sense. Like, still keeping up with me and still, keeping in contact with me. So, again, man, it's just this whole process has just been real humbling and just I'm just really grateful, man.
I can imagine. I can imagine all the hard work you've put in, and now you're finally seeing like the results of that hard work.
Man,
Uh,
exactly.
In 2018, you would go on to play in 7 games, impressing the coaching staff with your speed and solid hands. Following this performance, you had secured a role as the top receiver on the roster heading into the 2019 season. It was at this point you suffered injuries, including a torn groin and 2 sports hernias. This essentially robbed you of your 2019 season. At this point, you're 6 seasons in your college career, or 5?
It'd be my fifth year. It'd be five. Yeah, five.
Okay. Um, how big of a blow did this feel like at the time, and how did you still remain motivated to continue playing and pushing through?
Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a huge blow, man. It was a huge blow because, I had got off of, you know, the situation, dealing with my mom. And so that was a blow that kind of kept me, off the field. And so this was something else, that kept me, off the field. And it was completely out of my control, man. It was just something else that just kind of happened to me. The spring game, I did really well in the spring game, starting the spring game. Everything that was thrown my way, I caught. I had a big, reception every, you know, uh, kind of got the trust from all my teammates, the coaches, for them to rely on me. And so coming into that season fall camp, I was looking good. They had me starting, and they even had me a couple times, even on second team. So they had me starting the slot, and then second team they just kind of moved me to outside. And we'd kind of run some screens and stuff outside with me. But it was maybe like a week and a half or 2 weeks, kind of before our first game at the end of fall camp. Man, it was RPO. I ran the ball. I remember I caught the ball. I made a move, and when I made the move, I kind of heard a pop, and then I got hit, went to the ground. And when I was on the ground, I couldn't really feel anything. But when I tried to get up, I couldn't put any pressure on my right leg, and so that's when we found out. I had torn my groin and had two sports hernias that I had to get surgery on and miss the season. And spiritually, I was like, man, God, like, how's this happening? Because I had put in so much work. I'm talking about early mornings, late nights, when nobody's on the field. It's just me. And so it took me a lot to get to that point. And then for me to miss the whole season, uh, I just had to, dig myself out the hole and just find a way. And so eventually I did.
Makes sense. So I apologize. I got off track there a little bit and skipped a little ahead. So we're going
It's
to
all
backtrack
good.
a little bit.
All
Um,
right.
so, like you just mentioned, people will look at the fact that you began college back in 2014 and immediately wonder why you are just now seeing your chance at the draft.
Mm-hmm.
In your own words, please take as much time as you need to explain what happened and why you felt it was best to step away from football and focus on school and your family.
Absolutely. So in 2015, we had just got back from the Liberty Bowl, and I found out my mom had cancer. Uh, at that point, we didn't really know much. We just knew she had cancer. We didn't know exactly how serious it was, and so I was still going to school, in sports and things like that. But at the end of the day, too, I was just like, man, it was kind of I'm not gonna say I was in disbelief, but a lot of times you don't believe anything can happen to you or your family until it happens to you. And so just knowing that my mom had cancer, I was like, man. And then we found out that it was stage 4 cancer. The doctor told me my dad, she only had 2 years to live. And so she ended up passing away that same year in September. And so, man, I was struggling. My grades were struggling. Um, I was gonna drop out of Texas A&M. I was gonna drop out of school. And so my mom told me, she said the only thing that she wants me to do is just focus, on my grades, get my grades up. And she said, if you don't do anything for me, I want you to graduate from A&M. And so I did that, and I'll never forget. She told me, she said, football, track, whatever you pursue, God has a plan for you. She said, if you work hard, it's going to all come back to you. She said, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to come back to you. So she just really wanted me to focus on my grades, and that's exactly what I did. And I graduated with honors from Texas A&M.
That's amazing. I mean, from going to where you were at to begin with, to eventually, like you said, graduating with honors. I mean, it's amazing. Um, During your mother's fight with pancreatic cancer, you, like you said, had your struggles with focus, as anyone would. I mean, I can't imagine going through that situation. Your mind was on your family, not necessarily on school or sports. Due to this, you made what I feel was the correct decision, and you focused on school. You kept your promise to your mother, as you just mentioned, and you graduated with honors. You were not only on to you became a decorated student. You landed on the deans and the 80s list for honor roll. You were distinguished student award. You would ultimately graduate with your first degree from Texas A&M. How were you able to turn it around so quickly and achieve your goals despite everything you had going on outside of school?
Man, you asked me that, and almost my first impressions, like, man, I don't even know, it was just God. But really, I just made a decision, man. I just remember I made a decision. I said to myself, what my mom want, and I just kind of, man, I got frustrated. Every time I pull in my grades, I'll see D's, I see an F, and my GPA was low, and I was, it was talking about me being on, academic, probation there almost for a little bit, and I was like, you know what, like, I don't want this for myself. I can decide, either to stay where I'm at, or I could just really just buckle down, and just work my tail off and get back to the top. And so that's exactly what I did.
Absolutely. That's the way to go. I mean, all you can do is stare the challenge in the face and fight through it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I've seen a couple other interviews with you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I'll let you go ahead and say it for yourself. Talk to me about who your mother was for you in your life, and describe your relationship you had with her.
Man, she was she was definitely a motivator. You know, anytime I had any type of doubts or any type of feelings, she would always talk to me. She was really positive and encouraging, and you know, I've had a lot of teammates, a lot of people say, you know, I'm a positive dude, and you know, I'm always smiling. I really get it from her. I do. Um, she always had the best advice. She always knew what to say. Um, you know, you mentioned me playing, you know, 4 sports. Out of all the sports I played, including summer, you know, camps, summer, you know, games, stuff like that, she was always there. She never missed nothing. And not only was she there, you know, she was always there with the camera, you know, not just take a picture of me, but, you know, even, you know, other parents' kids too. So, um, you know, whenever I lost her, I lost, you know, I lost all of that, you know. So it was definitely a loss, but she's also motivated me, you know, and inspired me to keep going. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I read you that you kind of relied on a lot on faith at this point to help you continue pushing on through all the emotions you must have had. Talk to me about how something like this tested your faith and truly showed how strong it was.
um, this is a definitely a test of my faith. I struggled spiritually a little bit. Um, you know, when I was going through that, man, I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't even praying for a little bit. You know, I wasn't going to church. And so, you know, whenever I had made that decision, you know, to press on and keep going and not just be stuck, conversations, you know, like with my granny, really helped. You know, conversation with my coach from A&M, he would still, you know, call me and stuff like that. I'd be in my dorm room, he'd give me a call just to check on me. You know, like, you know, I talked to my dad, and so I just got back in the Word. I got back in the Bible, and so that really, you know, that really helped. And you know, God was just testing me. He was like, you know, do you still trust me? Do you still believe in me? And before my mom passed, you know, she was still, you know, in her word, you know, and reading the Bible and stuff like that. And I would ask my mom, you know, like, how are you feeling? Like, you know, with everything. And she would just tell me, you know, she's at peace. And, um, you know, God, you know, was helping her, you know, do that. And so, um, yeah, I got back in the word, man.
Yeah, I can relate a little bit at the moment. I don't want to get too much into my own life, so we won't go there. But yeah, I can definitely relate.
Mhm.
Um, After sorting through college and your thoughts and feelings surrounding your mother, how long was it before you finally got back onto the football field and felt at home again?
Man, it was so you know, my mom had passed away September 16th of 2015. And so that following year, uh during all that time, man, I had got physically, mentally, emotionally really sick. I had lost, like, you know, all the weight I had lost it. All the muscle mass, I lost it. I was weak. I couldn't even bench 135. And so, man, I just ended up. That's when, you know, powerlifting came into play. One of my friends had, you know, convinced me to, you know, just try out for the team. You know, and I was thinking about powerlifting just to get me back into, you know, football shape. Little did I know, you know, my competitiveness would allow me to go to nationals in powerlifting. And so once I got into that, man, I was around, you know, a team atmosphere again. Everything was scheduled, and so you know, that really helped me. And so the competitiveness kicked in, and um, not only was I saying to myself, I'm just trying to get back in football shape, trying to get strong. I'm like, I'm trying to win. And so that's when I ended up going to nationals and competing in powerlifting. But but yeah, man, it was a solid, you know, maybe year and a half, you know, as far as, you know, working back, getting back into it, man, because I was really just, you know, trying to focus on, you know, pressing on to, you know, graduate, man, because not only was I struggling, you know, with my grades, but like the classes at A&M was super hard, and so all the tutoring, everything, man, I was using all my resources.
Hey, sometimes that's what it takes. Um,
Yes.
Granted, I'm in a totally different industry and I'm not a student. One of the big things my boss always tells me is like, I can teach you how to find the answers. I can't give you the answer all the time. So,
Right.
it's a good lesson to learn in life that, sometimes you need to be able to use the resources at the tips of your fingers and not necessarily rely on somebody being there to give you the answers for everything in life.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's nice to see that. Uh, for a guy who doesn't really follow college football and myself, explain to me and others like me how you were able to attend college for so long yet retain your playing eligibility.
Absolutely. So, and it's funny that you asked that too, because during my process, one of the hardest things is convincing coaches I still have eligibility left. So it was funny because like I was always trying to reach out to compliance and get all the paperwork and everything like that. But so obviously you have 4 years of eligibility, and then you have a fifth year if you redshirt your first year, which is what I did. And so I ended up getting my sixth and my seventh year because um, one I had it's called a hardship waiver. So it's whenever something happens beyond your control, a family member passes away as like a mom and dad, or you get in a car accident or something like that, and you can't play. And so that was the first, waiver I got, was a hardship waiver. And then when I had the season-ending injury and I had to get surgery, that was, my medical hardship. And so that was the two I got. And then obviously COVID, so no, I mean, nobody really had a season with COVID. Everybody had another year. So that's what it was.
Wow. That's so just basically random chance, more or less. And
Man, random. And I was just really grateful because um, the hardship waiver, more or less, was almost like it was like a for certain deal. It's like, okay, like his mom passed away. Like, okay, yes, he gets another year of eligibility. But like the medical waiver that I got, I had to send in all this paperwork, my doctor bills, doctor notes, them saying, I was done for the season, proof that, I didn't play like more than 3 games or something like that. And so it was a lot. And so it was just waiting to hear back from the NCAA to say, okay, we're going to grant you another year eligibility. And so they did. And I was just thankful. And, it was just a lot during that time, like behind the scenes. I just kept pressing forward because a lot of decisions wasn't up to me. And so I was just praying. I was just hoping, that everything would work out, and it did.
that's amazing. If you've watched any of my other interviews, I'm normally not a big fan of the NCAA. They don't normally have the players' best interests in mind, but I'm glad you're in a
I,
different fight.
and I was worried because I've seen, I had seen and read other cases, and even my compliance, Miss Autumn at the time, she was just like, I don't know if this is going to, go through. I hope it does. And it was just, man, a lot of faith I had to rely on.
That's That's amazing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad to hear it finally worked in somebody's favor, especially somebody who's just a great person like yourself.
Thank you.
Um, After Texas and A&M, you moved on to play at East Central University, correct?
Yes, sir.
You played football and participated in track and field again, and actually ended up beating a record held by another former two-sport athlete and a guy Seattle Seahawks fans should be familiar with, David Moore.
Yes,
What
sir.
did this mean to you at the time?
Uh, Man, matter of fact, I remember, I was talking to my track coach at the time about it, and he was telling me, I think after the first meet, he was just like, you're kind of close to the, our indoor record, and I was like, okay, who had it? He was like, well, he did football and track as well, and he's like, he's with the Seahawks right now, and so I knew, who he was talking about, and so that was a personal goal of mine, and so to be able to do that, man, I was excited, but at the same time too, it's just like. Um, I wanted more, and not from a selfishness standpoint, because man, I'm forever grateful. But I feel like I was behind. I feel like I was behind. I missed so much, and so I was just trying to whatever type of goal, whatever type of anything that I had wrote down, I was going to attack it, and I was going to try to accomplish it.
Absolutely. I mean, you and I talked off screen about it. If you're not trying to be the best at what you're doing, you're kind of selling yourself short, right?
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
So it makes perfect sense. I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it with your best of your ability.
Hmm.
So East Central seems to have a bit of a history when it comes to targeting former Texas A&M players when available. Why
Hmm.
do you think this is?
Man, I really don't know. I didn't even really realize that. I don't know if it's based off of like location or whoever the recruiting coordinator is, as far as that, because certain coaches have different areas they recruit, and so I'm not sure if it was that reason, but yeah, no, that's definitely interesting.
Definitely. It was just something I stumbled across while I was looking into it, and I was like, huh, seems like
Hmm.
they have a little bit of an affinity for Texas A&M guys. Which, I mean, hey, they're a high level school, so it makes
Oh,
sense.
for sure, absolutely, for sure.
So I'm going to actually double back around to some of the questions I asked you earlier, just so everybody who's joining us now can hear them as well. During your season at East Central, you had many scouts from NFL teams kind of watching you and taking note of what you were able to do on the field. Is this the first time you considered the notion of truly getting a shot to play in the NFL?
Again, I would definitely say, yes, I've always uh, believed in myself, and I was confident in my abilities. But on certain situations like this, you got to get other people to believe in you, and that's really the key. And so for me to see, you know, other guys at the highest level, take interest in me, that just helped my confidence, and that just kind of solidified, what I thought. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, once again, going to kind of rehash another question here. In 2018, you would go on to play in 7 games. You joined the team basically midway through the season, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. So, you impressed the coaching staff with your speed and solid hands, kind of earned a starting job. And unfortunately, in 2019, in practice, you again ended up having an injury, which led to your hardship waiver that we spoke about just a minute ago.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
how did you remain motivated through all of this, despite, I mean, like, at this point you've gone through the whole year off because of what happened with your mother. You're now
Mhm.
injured, having to fight back from this. I mean, man, like, your inspiration must be next level to be able to go through all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. No, it definitely is. There was just, some just kept telling me, just press on. Just keep going. And that was the main thing. That was my whole motto. Keep going. No matter what happened, just keep going. And it was a little bit different, cause going the situation through my mom going through that helped me with this situation, because I'm not going to say it was easier, but dealing with my mom was a lot harder. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the death of my mom was a lot harder. But the difference is, it's like with my mom, I was still able to still go and work out, and run and stuff like that. When I got the injury, I was shut down. I couldn't do anything, especially after I had got the surgery and I was all glued up and stitched up. I'm rolling down the wheelchair, and I was shut down. And so again, man, that's just when I was in the Word, and I just kept my faith, and I just told myself, and even my dad told me, it's not gonna all come back at once. Just each day, try to work on something, get a little bit better, each day. And so that's what I did.
Absolutely, absolutely. So prior to the 2020 season, you were able to get healthy, but you had ultimately decided to transfer. You were heavily pursued by another school viewers of this channel are very familiar with in TCU. What led you to your decision not to attend TCU?
Man, everything was looking really good. I talked to Coach Patterson and the receiver coach that was there at the time. And one thing that really hurt me is the receiver coach ended up leaving, and so somebody else ended up getting the job. And I guess that gave somebody else my spot. And so um, and not only that too, the biggest thing is I was talking about the whole the compliance and the eligibility situation. um, it was a lot of paperwork, and that was a slow process. And even seeing if I had Division 1 eligibility, because what a lot of people don't realize is the Division 1 clock is different than a D2 or D3 clock. And so just proving that I did. And at first I didn't know if I had Division 1 eligibility left. I didn't realize at the time the clocks were different. I thought they were all the same. And so the coaches were just kind of waiting around for that. And I didn't have an answer. We was trying to hear back from the NCAA because they had granted me another year, but we didn't know if that year was for Division II or for Division I. And so I definitely could have went anywhere Division I. There were other Division I coaches who actually was trying to recruit me and have reached out to me, emailing me, DMing me on Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. But the whole thing was, do I have Division I clock left? And so the NCAA did kind of get. I'm not gonna say it was their fault, that I didn't go to TCU, but we was just waiting around, for them to, give me a for sure answer. And it was just kind of later that, I told them, like, yeah, I do. And by that time, the receiver coach who was there that I was talking to, he wasn't there anymore, and they had brought somebody else in. And so kind of missed my chances on that. And in the recruiting world, like with football, you don't want to wait too long, to make a decision, because if somebody else comes in and says, yes, I want that spot, I mean, that spot's taken. You know what I'm saying? And so then I was just like, man, I gotta go somewhere. I gotta make a quick decision. So
Absolutely. Ultimately, it kind of looked like you would have to sit out a season if you transferred to another D1 school.
that was I was about to say that was another thing too. They were saying, if I did come, I would have to sit out. And after going through that with my mom and then the injury, I was like, I'm not sitting out. I basically told her, like, man, I'm not sitting out another year. I can't. So, but yeah.
Gotcha. And that's when a friend of yours, Aaron Sims, stepped up and kind of helped you see the light of UMHB, correct?
He did. Yeah, he did. Absolutely.
So how did you ultimately settle on it? Was it just because of Aaron, or was it because of something the school offered?
That was part of it too. But when I went to UMHB, I really liked the visit. It was really nice. That's one of the main colleges that is, at the lower level that seems like a Division I. And I'm not just talking about the coaching staff. I'm talking about the facilities and everything about it. And when I went on my visit, the head coach at the time, Pete Frenberg, he recently retired, but he showed me around and everything like that. And it's really a winning tradition. And so that's what I really liked. And I just want to win. And so that was the main thing.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. I mean, if you're given the opportunity to go to a great program that has a winning history, why not, right?
Exactly. It was also close to home too. It was close to home, man. It was a Christian school, nice campus, and so absolutely.
Gotcha. So in 2020, you were well on your way to pursuing your second master's degree. Did this lead to your decision to stay in school one more year and wait until the 2022 draft, or were there other deciding factors?
I mean, yes, just the fact that I was close to graduating with my master's, that with my second master's, and that's another thing too. Like my parents taught me is obviously athleticism is important, but the education was really important, and so I don't like I'm not one of those guys that just takes care of things on the field and not off the field. So in the classroom, I'm working just as hard, and I didn't even realize how close I really was to graduating. And then the whole thing with COVID had happened, and there was a lot of people saying like scouts weren't even traveling, and and I was just like, what, I'm just gonna use another year, get my master's degree and then come out this year.
Makes sense. So, like we spoke about earlier, you played all over the field in high school, including running back, wide receiver, defensive back, and in the return game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if an NFL coach came up to you on draft day, or I guess called you on draft day and was said, "Hey, we're drafting you, but we want you to play cornerback or safety," what would your reaction be? And is this something you would be willing to do?
I'm gonna say, Coach, I got you. I'm gonna say I got you. As far as playing safety, if they want me to play safety, I can. Would I feel comfortable? Probably not. But now corner is definitely something I would definitely feel comfortable in playing. Matter of fact, coming out of high school, a lot of people don't know I was actually a cornerback prospect more than I was, receiver prospect. So I definitely feel comfortable, being out there, playing defense.
Absolutely. Forgive me if I'm wrong, because this is just off the top of my head, but I remember seeing somewhere you had something like 6 interceptions as a senior or something like that.
Yeah, I did. I had 6 or 7. I had one return for a touchdown. A lot of breakups, a lot of solo tackles. Yeah, man, I definitely like to pursue the ball, and that's one thing, and playing offense, in college, you don't get to hit nobody, you don't get to, and I think that's what helps me as a receiver, is have played on the other side of the ball. You know what I'm saying? So I like to think of myself kind of like a quarterback that plays receiver, because when I'm sitting there in the slot or outside, I'm looking at the defense. I'm knowing if they're cover one, cover two. Is this man pressing, or does he have the flats? Is he going to go with me if I'm going deep? Where's the safeties traveling? Is the backer coming? And so I'm looking at all that, and that helps me. That helps me, I guess, know where I'm going. Quicker.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, playing the defensive side of the ball, you're obviously going to be able to diagnose what a cornerback's going to do to you a lot better than you would if you had never stepped foot on that side of the ball.
Exactly.
So, at what point did you run your famous 4.19 40-yard dash? And give me just a second.
Man,
I think I'm going to be able to pull up the video here.
okay, cool.
But at what point was that in your career?
And man, I'm so glad that we had got that on video too, and I love the timer on the video too. That was right. That was right before I went to East Central. Yeah, that was right before I went to East Central.
That's awesome. Oh, no. It's not working. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
I was worried about that. I've been trying to edit it and stuff, and I couldn't get it to come up here.
It's all good.
Here we go.
Uh-oh. There we go.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and replay that real quick since that
Okay, cool.
was kind of real fast.
Cool, man.
Obviously really fast. I mean, it was 4.19 seconds, so
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's
It's funny.
insane.
It's funny too, because I even had a coach who's like, "No, that's not 419. That's a 4188."
That's exactly what I said when I first saw it. I was like, he's being modest. That's under 4119 there. That's definitely a 418 something.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
funny.
But that was cool, man, to get that on video. And I mean, because as an athlete, I feel like we do a lot of stuff. I'm not gonna say that's unbelievable, but that's pretty cool. But a lot of times it doesn't get on tape. So when you say you did it, they're looking at you like, did you really? You know what I'm saying? But to have it on tape, you can't argue with that.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of the struggle of being an athlete, is like there's so many amazing athletes out there that to set yourself apart it's almost impossible. Yet here you are able to do that. I mean, you're the first player that I've ever heard of, and I'm probably certain of the fact that you're the only player to ever graduate with 2 master's degree and enter the NFL draft. And
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure you're the only player to do that and run a 4.19. I don't think anybody's doing that anytime soon again.
No, yes, sir. Absolutely.
I could see a team potentially, looking at you and being like, well, he spent a lot of time in college. But they can't really say that you were necessarily getting beat up on a play in and play out basis or anything like that. You
Exactly.
don't necessarily have the wear and tear on you that you would have had you not had the years out of the game like you did.
Exactly, absolutely. And so that's another thing too. Like a coach has mentioned. Because they look at that. They look at wear and tear. They look at how in shape you are and things like that. And one thing, I'm not beat up. And even the sports hernia surgery that I did get, I believe Odell, he had got something kind of similar. And that's something that once you get that done, like that really helps you, because even the doctor, they was like, it's not like it just happened then. It was wear and tear, and and then that happened. So the fact that we fixed it, that's not gonna, chance of that happening again is, very slim, next to none. And so that could have been a God thing. And the main thing too with me getting the surgery was just like, because I had talked to a lot of people, a lot of coaches and things like that, a lot of specialists, and they were like, okay, you have a future in the NFL. Go ahead and get this fixed now, so you don't have to worry about it, later on down the road. Because I could have just let time heal it with no surgery. But at the end of the day, it would have carried with me later on down the road. And so the fact that it's fixed now and I'm good. I'm still running fast. Um, I'm in great shape. I'm thankful that was something I did.
Absolutely. And speaking of running fast still, at your pro day, you actually ran between the high 4.2 to the low 4.3 range, which I think they were adding a little bit of time somewhere. Displaying your otherworldly speed. Outside of speed, what do you believe is your best trait you offer to a team looking to draft you?
I would say, one thing that teams don't really know yet. I mean, some teams do, and especially like some of the coaches that had in these bowl games. Because when I got invited to a bowl game, you only have like 1 or 2 days of practice. But my ability to pick up stuff, I can learn quick. I can learn on the fly. Just my understanding of the game. So just being able to use me anywhere. As far as maybe swinging me out the backfield, put me in motion. Jet sweeps, playing me in the slot, playing me outside, kick return, punt return. Obviously stuff like that. There are some guys that are really talented, but you could just put them in one spot. It's okay. You're the X. You just play there. You don't have to worry about going in motion, doing this. You just go down the field. You got to post. But like with me, I feel like I'm a little bit more flexible and just understanding the game. Like for an example, say if I have a dig at 12, if I see the safeties at 12 and he's only backpedal a little bit, depending on the situation, if it's a first or second down, it's just not like we're just trying to get the sticks. I might run it at 8 or to 10, just to once I catch it, I can make a move. And so just understanding the game and looking where the defense is at and just making that pre-snap read.
Absolutely. I'm going to pull up another thing here. Here's your official tweet when you declared for the draft. Thought that was kind of cool. Found that this
Mm-hmm.
morning.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Off camera, we spoke about the growing demand for versatile wide receivers that can serve as runners too. This is kind of a role that you have played in the past, having lined up as a wingback, as running back. In recent years, we've seen guys like Ty Montgomery, Cordarrelle Patterson, and Debo Samuel. We talked about it off screen. Maybe even Tyreek Hill in Miami will play a similar role. Is this a role you would feel comfortable playing for a team? Maybe even
Oh,
Kansas City?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny you say that because I've had a lot of people DM me like, "Man, Tyreek's leaving Kansas City. They're coming after you." And so, yeah, I mean, I would definitely feel comfortable in that role. Not just for myself, but really to help the team, man. Because at the end of the day, you know, put me wherever I'm going to be beneficial to the team. Whether that's punt return, kick return, slot, you know, swinging me here, putting me in motion, wherever you feel like you can use me, that's where I want to be used.
Absolutely. Hey, Andy Reid, if you're listening, here's your Tyreek Hill right here. I'm just saying, and he didn't even have off the field stuff too. So I mean, we don't want to go there, but he's a stand up guy, smart dude. Just saying, perfect replacement.
I
Uh,
appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. So your background at running back in high school, which we just spoke about again, kind of seems to aid your ability after the catch. You actually sent me an article that I was not aware of previously from an Eagles writer that had quoted a scout saying that it's not often that you go down on first contact. How are you able to retain such impressive contact balance despite being what most people would describe a relatively smaller player in the NFL?
Honestly, I would say, I do have pretty good balance, man. I got pretty good balance. That might be it. I know when I was younger, I did karate when I was like 5 years old, and I did that all the way, through high school, and I think that really helped me a lot too. And so, maybe the karate and a little yoga I do here and there, and but just my overall balance because you know, God, God come up and hit me and I'll stumble, but I keep my feet. I think that's the main thing. As a young age, I learned just keep your feet moving. A lot of times, I see a guy, he goes down because his feet stop. And so, if I get hit, I get banged around. I'm just keeping my feet moving, and eventually, you're gonna stand back up. So I guess, that's what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we spoke off screen about some NFL players that play a similar role to what we just mentioned. Who are some players you point to as guys you model your game after? And do you work with any current professional players off the field?
Matter of fact, we was talking about one earlier. Tyreek Hill. I definitely watch. Tyreek Hill, man. I watch his, and a lot of people doesn't understand too. He does a really good job, kind of like what I was saying earlier. Um, he finds the holes. He finds the spots, and that's really what you have to do. Especially at the NFL. Especially at that level, because the quarterback only has so long, to throw the ball and then the ball's out, because the speed of the game changes drastically. You have DNs and linebackers, that's 4-4-4-5, so um, just watching his route running, watching him, sit down, maybe sit down the post, or sit down on a corner, or just find the sweet spots. I watch him. I used to watch Percy Harvin a lot when he played. He did a lot of motion stuff. He was almost more of a running back type. I watch, Debo Samuel a lot. I watch Debo Samuel a lot. He's a heck of a player. He's a winner, man. You could put him anywhere on the field. He's gonna help you win. And so, I'm not going to say, as far as talent wise right now, I'm as good as Debo Samuel or Tyreek Hill, but there's definitely potential to me, getting there. And so I definitely watch those guys for sure.
Absolutely. I mean,
And
yeah,
the question you asked, because you asked me another question too. My memory, I remember. Uh, I've worked out with Deshaun Jackson before. Tavon Austin. That's another guy. I look at. We're about the same size. Tavon Austin, Laquan Treadwell. I worked out with a couple NFL guys, and where I did my draft training, I was at Michael Johnson Performance Center, and so a lot of guys, were there training, and so I work out with them, and so I've been able to see, what a NFL receiver looks like, and I feel like I fit that description.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned Deshaun Jackson. That would be a perfect NFL comparison for you and your game. I mean, Deshaun never really ran the ball a whole lot in Philly or any other stop that he's been in, but he definitely had the capability to run the end around if it ever came to it, for sure.
Hmm.
And he was very versatile as far as the punt return game and stuff like that. Huge fan of Deshaun. I wish we never got rid of him, to be honest.
Right,
But
right. Yeah, he's a game changer. He's a game breaker. Like, and it only takes. I mean, it's just a guy like that. A guy like myself, Tyreek Hill. It's it's only so long that we're gonna break a deep one. And so it's just going to happen.
absolutely. I mean, you mentioned Tavon Austin, and he's another guy that was really, really fun to watch. I was a huge fan of him and his game. Percy Harvin as well. I mean,
Yep.
you obviously have watched a lot of those dual threat guys because you named like basically everybody I could think of off the top of my head. It's kind
Exactly.
of funny.
For sure.
So you grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan. Um, although you ended up popping on the Philadelphia news circuit, like I mentioned. How did you feel about the suggestion that a team you probably grew up hating should target you in the draft?
Well, it's funny that you said that because Cowboys and Eagles fans don't like each other, but obviously Deshaun Jackson was with the Eagles. Me growing up, and Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb, and I like those guys, and so I never hated the Eagles. I never had a problem with the Eagles, but I have had interest from them, and I've had a lot of people tell me the Eagles may come after me in the draft, and so if that's the case, cool, man. I'll definitely. I love to go play with Smith and Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is stand-up guy, great leader too, and so I wouldn't mind going to NFCs.
Agreed. Agreed. I think that's one of the big things that people underrate about Jalen Hurts is his leadership and his mentality he's got for the
It's
game.
it's huge, man. It's huge. What people don't realize, in athletics, when you got to have a guy who's that leader, who you can trust. They can be talented and all that, that's great, but eventually during the game or in the locker room or just throughout the season, you know, a lot of times stuff gets grimy, and you got to have a guy who's going to be able to bring everybody together, and somebody who's a voice for everybody, and somebody who really has that leadership quality. And I feel like Jalen Hurts, he's one of those guys, and every team needs that. And a lot of teams who suffer, they might have a good guy in there, but they don't have the leadership quality. I think that's the most important of it all, is you gotta have a guy you can lean on. When stuff gets bad, and so, but yeah.
I could definitely see that. I mean, I haven't personally experienced that in the way that you have, but yeah, I could definitely see needing somebody to be that calming voice in the middle of a game.
Exactly, exactly.
So we spoke off screen about how you approach your workouts, but I want you to kind of bring fans inside what your typical day looks like. What time do you start your day, and is it immediately to the gym, or what does your routine look like?
Man, honestly, man, it's early. Stressing, um, a lot of like myofascial release, stuff like that. Basically just almost like self massage, but you're moving, as you're doing it. Um, just staying loose. Man, just really working on, my route running, catching the ball, stuff like that. Really, just at this point in time, it's really a lot of like fine tuning stuff. But just staying disciplined with that. Drinking water, getting rest, stuff like that. So yeah. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I left it
There we
on mute.
go. There we go.
Uh, so I have one more go-to question I love to ask everybody. If you were the offensive coordinator tasked with putting you as a player in the best position to succeed, where do you line up the majority of your snaps?
Man, I would say, put me in the slot. Put me in the slot. If you think your best receiver, is on the right side, put me in the slot on the left side. Put me opposite of whoever you think the best guy is, because obviously teams are going to draw into me, and so that could create some separation for him, some love for him, or if they go to him, then boom, I'm wide open. So man, just line me in the slot across from your best guy, uh, and we gonna do some work.
That's awesome. That makes perfect sense. That's a go-to spot for a guy of your caliber. Okay, I'm going to leave you with one last question before I let you go. And to be fair, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, although you did see these questions before we talked, so you kind of know what's coming. Would you be willing to come back on following the draft and break the news when you sign your contract?
Absolutely, absolutely, man. As soon as I sign, I definitely let you guys know for sure.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on. You're a hell of a guy. I'll definitely be rooting for you going forward, but I'm going to go ahead and let you get you to the rest of your night. And I'll have that NFL draft article I've been telling you coming out here soon.
Sounds good, my man. That sounds good. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a great night, man, and best of luck in the draft. I'm looking forward to hearing your name called.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you. God bless.
Absolutely, you too. Okay, so once again, that was Caleb Eagans, a man who maybe the only football player I have ever heard of to not only have one master's degree, but two master's degree prior to ever being into the draft. It's just mind blowing to me that he's not only the athletic talent that he is to run a 4.19, but he's the academic talent that he was to go get two master's degrees and a third degree on top of that before he ever even left college and went to the NFL. I mean, I just can't imagine having a kid like Caleb. I mean, as a parent, I I would love to see my kids strive to be what he is today, let alone the professional football. He's a great man. He's respectful. He's kind. He works hard. He puts in everything he's got to be great at what he does, no matter what it is. And he persevered through so much. To see him succeed to this day is it's an inspiration because it goes to show you just how important perseverance is to this day. It's one of those things that if you don't persevere and you allow yourself to fail at the first sign of adversity, you're never going to succeed in life. You have to push through the pain. And a lot of times you have to push through emotions that you never thought you'd experience. For anybody to sit here and say they understand what he went through is just asinine. You can't possibly understand what he was feeling at that time, even if you've been through the same thing. Like I said, I can relate, but I don't know what he felt at the time. All I know is that if I was going through the same things, I would have stepped away from football and focused on my family as well. And quite honestly, that to me shows the type of person he is more than staying on the football field would have. He chose to take that time to keep a promise to his mother. And on top of that, he also chose to focus on school and his family. And to me, those are bigger priorities than a football field could ever be. Your family should always come first. And Caleb showed that at the end of the day, he would put that family first, no matter what he had to sacrifice to be there for them. And once again, I think that just kind of shows the person he is. And on another note, I think that kind of shows the type of leader he could be for a team. I mean, through great personal tragedy, he focused on others and others' wishes over his own. And he was able to come through everything he dealt with over the years and still find success. And now he finds himself in consideration for the NFL draft. We spoke off screen, and he and I have both heard that he could go as high as the 5th round, and we expect to see him picked somewhere on day 3 or be a priority UDFA. If it comes to that, teams are going to want to snatch him up. I mean, we recently saw a guy, and I think his name's Devin Allen, signed by my Eagles, actually, and he has not stepped foot on a football field since 2016. So all the critics out there, these guys are still getting chances because of their athletic talent. And Caleb's been on a football field recently. So, I mean, to sit here and say that a guy like Devin Allen deserves a chance and Caleb doesn't is just foolish. And honestly, I think NFL teams will ultimately prove that in a couple weeks here when he hears his name selected in the NFL draft by some team or another. Some team is going to see what he can do on the field, what he is off the field as a person, and realize that that's exactly the type of person you want to build your team around. He is, like I said, he's a great dude. He's a kind person, and he's more worried about others than himself, from what I've picked up anyway. He's just super respectful, and he's one of those guys that you can't help to root for. So he's definitely got another fan for life in me. I'm one of those eternal optimists, though. Every one of these players that comes through here and interviews with me, I immediately have to follow them going forward. I want to root for them going forward because genuinely only the best type of people come on here. I mean, they're quite literally, they're taking time out of their day to speak with me and help me achieve my dreams. So, I mean, that just should go to show you what kind of people they are and what they do for others when it stands to gain very little for themselves. I hope I can, in some way, shape, or form, help Caleb get to where he wants to go. I'm afraid that he's going to help me out more than I could ever help him, but I will find a way to return that to him someday, one way or another. Caleb, once again, if you're watching this, thank you so much for coming on. Anybody who's friends, family of Caleb, man, you definitely have a hell of a guy in your life. So I think we're all behind him, and let's all root for his success going forward. I think he can really make it to the NFL level, and I think he can be, like we said, a game changer, not just a role player. This is a guy who blazed his way to a 4.19, and you all got to see it. But I'm going to leave you guys with a quick draft hype video. Not my video. I would like to point that out. Completely courtesy of another YouTuber. But here it is. Sorry about that. That is not my video. That is Boss Media Productions. He is one hell of a video producer. He does a lot of hype videos, highlight video type stuff. And I completely borrowed his video. I'm not even going to lie. It was just so good. And it was the best hype video I could find for Caleb. And I went ahead and borrowed it. And I wanted to give him credit for it because he deserves it. It was an awesome video, and it highlighted Caleb's abilities well, and it also kind of showed him in a more personal light. I'm nowhere near the producer that he is, so shout out to him, and thank you for allowing me to use it. Although I never got express permission because you never responded to me, so hopefully it's okay. If not, I will remove it from the video immediately. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the night. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. I know I did. Me and Caleb have been talking for quite a while off screen. Like I said, he's a really good dude. He was one of the guys that I was most excited to interview, just simply because of what he's been through and what he's been able to persevere through. So, yeah, like I said, I hope you all are rooting for him now. Let's all watch here in 16 days as the NFL draft kicks off, somewhere between 16 and 18 days from now. Caleb should know where he's going to spend his NFL career for the foreseeable future, and so should you guys. So I will keep you informed on all things Caleb Eagans going forward, as well as all the other guys that have been on this channel. And we will catch you guys in the next video. Have a great night.